Hello everyone. Is my voice audible, guys? Is my voice audible, guys? Anybody can confirm on the chat.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay. So in last session, we were working with the Axios part, right? We have seen how to do the GET request. Have you guys remembered this part? I have shown you the installation of Axios and how to import it in our component and how to use GET function from Axios to send a request to server or backend application. So right now we don't have any backend application. That is the reason we are taking the help of some fake store APIs. Nothing but some fake APIs we are taking the help. So in that we have taken the help of the website called Fake Store API. So this website is going to provide us some APIs, nothing but some URLs to access their APIs. And using that URL, we have just sent one request to a server and we got the response. And in that response, we have received around 18 products information, 20 products information, I think. 20 products information. That's it. And this information we have just consoled it. In the console, we have shown all these products. This is what we have done in the last session. So if I just go to that all products component, this is the all products component, and this is how its UI looks like. All products component. The moment I click on this button, whenever I click on this button, we are calling a function called get products. This is the function which we are calling. This get products function we are calling the moment we click on this button. Inside this function, we have written some logic. What is that logic? We have written Axios logic. For that, first of all, we have installed our Axios, then we have imported this Axios here. Then using this Axios object, we are accessing get function. And in that get function, we are passing some URL. Now this URL is created by your fake store API people. In real time, this UI will be clear. This URL will be created by your backend developers, the people who are developing backend applications using Spring Boot or Node.js or Django. Those people will be developing this or creating this URL. Now this URL will be given to front-end people. Now using this URL, we can send the request to a server. So the moment you send a request to a server, what this function will return? What this function will return? Whenever you do
Some
axios.get,
response.
yeah, it will return some response, but that response will come in the form of
JSON format.
promise. Basically, that response you will get in the JSON format to the Axios, but Axios will return that data to us in the form of promise object. So we are going to receive one promise object. In that object, you will have your response. So we have to get that response from that promise object. So how to access the data of promise object or how to handle the promise object? For that, we have to use then and catch. And already I have shared one video with you guys, right? On the promises. Have you guys gone through that video? In this video.txt, I have added all the links here. I have told you guys to go through all these videos. So here I have added you the promise video as well. Did I updated this file with you guys? Already I have updated on GitHub also, right? Session 15. Here in this videos.txt, see all the links I have added here. So I am assuming that you have gone through these videos, all these videos. Like almost 10 days gap we have, right? So in that 10 days, almost, if you watched these videos, so it covered almost 5 to 6 hours. This is what it returns the promise. In that video, I have explained you what is promise, how to create promise, how to access the data from promise. All those things I have explained in that video. Now here, I'm just consoling that. Now if you just open your console, now if I click on get products, I got the data here. Now this data we want to show in our, basically this data we want to show on our screen by creating some kind of user interface. That is our task. So right now, once we got the data, now we have to create some user interface in our client application. And in that user interface, we have to display that data. Now let's assume that I want to display the data here in the card format. So I want one card for one product. So if I am getting 20 products from server, then I want to create 20 products. I mean 20 cards. So for that, what we need to do? After this button, I want to show all the cards. So what I will do here, I will take one div, and to this div, I will add simply one class. I will say all products data. Inside this div, I want to create one card for one product. One card for one product. How to create a card? How to create like this card? So already we have done, right? So to create this card, I am taking one div. To this div, I will add a class name for card. In this, I want to show the product of the image. Some image product I want to show here. Width, I will say something like maybe 270 we will take. And height, I will take around 200. Then I want here some H3 where I can show some title. Then here one paragraph where I can show some price. Okay, here some price. And finally, I want to show one button. Something like product details. Now I need to add some CSS to convert this div into card format. So for that, we can create one CSS file here. all products dot CSS. I'm just importing that CSS file here. All products dot CSS. Now inside this, we can add whatever CSS you want. So for all products data, for this, I will just add some margin top like 50 pixel. And I will add some padding like 30 pixel. Then let me just take this card. Let me add width for the card like 250 or something like 300 pixel. And then let's add some padding like 10 pixel. Some box shadow 10 pixel. Black. Let me add text align center. Let me look how it looks. Because ours it should be all products. All products.css. Now if you go back here, now see here we got card kind of structure. Here one image will be displayed, title, price, product details. Now this width looks so much, so we can decrease the width to 250 pixel. Here image width I will say 100%. Now it looks like this. Now here you can add some styles like for your H3. I can add a margin from top and bottom 17 pixel, 0 pixel from left to right. In the same way for paragraph, margin top bottom 15 pixel and 0 pixel from left to right. Now see here you got something like this. If you want, you can reduce little bit. Here we can add 13 pixel. Here I can add 11 pixel. It looks like this. So we just got one simple card here. Like this, how many cards we want? We want nearly 20 cards. Why 20 cards? Because from server, we are getting 20 products. Now, can you tell me how to create 20 cards based on our data? So this is the code we have written to create one card. Now this code I want to repeat 20 times, 20 times. So what I need to do?
Take one more function and try to call.
Can I add this code in separate component? So inside this, can I create one file called card? Or let me first create one subfolder called card. In that, can I create one card.js file? Can I create here functional component? And here, can I add that code? Can I add one card.css file? Okay. After adding that card.css file, I can link that here. Now here we don't require this part, so I will remove that. Import dot slash card dot css. So instead of writing this card code inside this all products here, what we are doing, we are writing that code in a separate file, in a separate component, because this code we want to repeat 20 times. That is the reason instead of repeating that same code here 20 times, that code we are implementing in a separate component. And now this component we can reuse it as many times as we want. Save it. Now go to its CSS file. You can just copy all this, remove from here and add here. Now that component we have to import card component, and then here we have to render that card component. If I call render one time, I got one time. If I render one more time, I should get one more time. Two cards I got. Like this, I want to render two more times. Now we should get four cards. The card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4. But all these cards are displaying one after another. I want to display one beside another. In same row, I want to display these four cards. What I need to do for this? Right now, these cards are displaying in a separate line, right? After this card is displaying. But I want this second card should display beside this card. So what changes I need to do?
Display flex.
Instead of flex, can I go with grid as well? Can I make this all products data div as a display grid? And then can I take grid template columns? Can I divide it into equal columns? Like this, I can write 4 times, or I can use repeat formula as well. Now here, can I add gap property? 10 pixel if I say, or here let me add 30 pixel. I add 30 pixel. Let me go with 20. Here we got it. Now suppose if I add more 4 cards, so totally 8 cards. In that case, see, first 4 cards are displaying in one row, next 4 cards are displaying in the next row. Are displaying in the next. So it depends completely on you guys. Is my voice audible, guys? Oh,
Yes.
it completely depends upon you. So how you want to add your CSS or styles. Okay. So instead of using flex right now, I'm going with the grid because we have used flex for multiple examples. So this time I'm using the grid. So like this, how many cards we want? How many cards should be created like this? How many cards you want to show on your screen? How many cards you want to show on the screen?
20.
Yeah, why
As
20?
we receive 20. From the API response, we receive 20 cards.
Yes, because from API, how many products we are, how many products information we are receiving? We are receiving nearly 20 products information. So I want to render like this card component 20 times. So should I manually write like this 20 times, or we have any other way? Can you guys just guess?
Using props, we can reuse the component.
Using props, you cannot reuse.
Can we loop it
Yes, how to loop?
for each or for loop?
Yeah. So what we can do means here, this card component we have to loop. Now you can loop in multiple ways, right? The best way in React for looping, we use map function. We use map function. Okay. So basically here we are receiving one array, right? In this response.data. So whatever data we got from server, first we will try to add that data inside our state. And on that state, we will use the map function. So how we are going to do means, so let's assume that this is our all products component. All products component. Okay. Now from this component, we are going to send one request to a server, and server is going to send some response to us. Now, whatever data we got, this data we will add in our state. So we will create one state variable here, and inside that state, we are going to store this data. We are going to store this data. And on this state, we will apply the map function. So first, let's see how to add the data inside this state. So for this, we required one state. So what we will do here, we will simply import use state from React. Now using use state, we will create one state variable here. We can go with let all products, comma, set all products equals to use state. Initially, we will maintain empty array inside this state. Inside this state, we will maintain empty array. Now, once we get the data from server, now here we are getting the data from server. Here we will update our state. What data we want to add in this state? This response.data. So basically, we are adding one array. In that array, we have 20 objects. So once we get the data from server, that data we are adding inside this state. Now on this state, because the state contains array now, this response.data is also array. So basically this response.data is one array. In that we have nearly 20 objects like this. 20 objects. Already if you just right click and go to the inspect, you will find that part here. So let me just see, here we are getting one array. And if you expand that array, here you will have a 20 products. Each product information we are getting in object format again. So it's like an array of objects. So like this one array, in that 20 objects we have, each object is going to represent one product. So now this array we are storing inside our state. It means now all products contain one array which contains 20 products. Now on that array, we can call map function. So here I can say that now inside this I need to write JavaScript code because map comes from your JavaScript. So I will use curly brace. I will say all products dot map. Map will take one callback function. That callback function should return something. And this callback function takes element and your index as a parameter. Now here in the return statement, we will render our card component. Now, if you save it, now if I just go back here and if I click on this, see here we go. Nearly how many? 20 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This many cards we put. The refresh. There is no card. The moment you click on this, you will get here 20 cards now. So on this, we are applying this map function. Now here to this card, we have to pass props. We have to pass image URL. We have to pass title. We have to pass price. In the same way, when we goes to the card component here, we have to destructure all those image, title, and here price. Now here I will bind that. Here I will bind that image. Here I will bind title. Here I will bind price. Now here we have to send that data. So that to here in the string format. Now tell me what this map function will do. What this map function is going to do. What that map function will do. See here in this all products, you have one array. Here you have one array. In that array, you have totally 20 products. So what this map is going to do now? This map will go to this array. So this is this array. In this array, it will pick this first object. Nothing but it will pick this first element. That first element, it will store inside this parameter, first parameter. So in our case, this element is one object. In this parameter, we are storing one object. And the index number of that first element will be stored here. Index number will be stored here. And then this callback function will be called. The moment this callback function is called, what we are doing, we are just returning a card component. We are returning a card component. So this card component will come and sit here. Now to that card component, we have to pass some data as a props. So in this object, in this element, we are storing one object, right? In that object, we have all that data. We have ID, we have image, URL, here we have title, here we have price. Like this, we have some data in this object. Now I want to send only these three data. In this object, you have so much data apart from these three properties. But I just want to send these three properties as a props. So here simply I will say that element dot image. Here element dot title. Here element dot price. Now save it. Now if I go back here, now see in all my cards, I got my products. So using this map, what we are doing, we are rendering this card component based on how many elements we have in this array. How many elements you will have in that array, that many times card component will be rendered. So this is how we are going to use map function in our React to render component or any kind of UI multiple times. Any UI multiple times. So let me explain you this once again. So basically, inside this div, inside this all products data, we want to render a card component. So right now I am rendering only one time. That is the reason on the screen you will see only one card. Now suppose if I render 2 times, on the screen you will see 2 times. If I render 3 times, then you will see the card 3 times. If I render 4 times, you will see the card 4 times. Now, how many times we have to render like this card based on how much data we are getting from server. Right now, we are getting only 20 products information from the server. That is the reason we have to render this card 20 times. But in future, suddenly if data gets increased or gets updated in your database, instead of 20, now let's assume that backend people are sending us 100 product information. In that case, we have to create 100 cards. We have to render this card component 100 times. Now, if always the data is going to update in your backend means, then each and every time you have to update your front end part also. So instead of manually rendering like this card multiple times, what we are going to do, we are going to use map function. How to use map function? For that, first we will use this curly brace because this is your JSX. Inside this, we want to use JavaScript map function. So use curly brace. Now, whatever data we got from server, that data we are storing inside our state. We are storing inside our state. Okay, let me remove this consoles now. Whatever data we got from server, we are storing inside our state. So right now inside this all products state, what we are storing means we are storing one array in which you have 20 objects. Each object contains some information in property format. So what are the properties we are storing in this object? In this object, we are storing the properties like image, ID, description, price, you have title, like this, lot of information you are storing. How to find that information? You can just inspect it. Maybe in the inspect console, you will be able to find it. Now see, in this array, you have 20 objects. If you expand any one object, you will find all these properties. You have category, you have description, you have ID, you have image, you have price, you have rating, and you have title. So this much properties we are getting in each and every object. But in this card, we wanted to show only image, price, and title we want to show. Only these 3 properties we want to show. So for that, what we are going to do here is, on this all products, we are going to apply map function. Now map will take one callback function. It will have a return statement, and here what you want to create multiple times, that code you can add it. I will add that. Now here, element, or if you want, you can take other name like product. That's it. I'm not taking second parameter. I don't require right now. So here for card, I will pass image props. I will pass price props. I will pass here title props. Okay, so sequence doesn't matter. In any sequence, you can pass here props. Here I will put product, pass image. Here product, dot price. Yes, product, correct one. Okay. Okay, go back here. Go back all the way. If you want, you can display the category in line. So this one here, that's the body.
Your voice is not audible.
This is not level wise, my voice. Yeah, let me know, guys, is my voice audible or not?
Now
Audible.
little. Yeah.
Now we are going to use map to iterate our components multiple times. So if you don't use map, in that case, what happens? Manually, you have to write this card rendering code 20 times. Suppose suddenly from backend, if you are getting 1,000 products, then you have to render this card component 1,000 times. Understood this part, right?
Yes, sir, understood. I have question. Instead of calling API, will we be able to call JSON file alone directly?
JSON file.
Yeah.
We are getting JSON file only, right? We are getting the data, but that we are using Axios, right? So internally, it is just adding that entire data of your JSON into the promise and it is returning the promise to us. In real time, we just always deal with this JSON and promise.
Yeah, your voice is not clear, sir.
Your voice is very low.
It's audible.
Voice is okay, but for the sound is very low. Can you speak in a little bit loud?
How many of you are facing the same issue?
It's audible.
It's audible, right? Yeah. In case if you face, let me know, guys.
I'm okay.
Yeah. So this is how we are going to use this map. Okay. So let's work little bit with this map with some more examples so that things will be little more clear for you guys. Okay. So let's do one thing now. I want to create. Okay. In this component, I want to maintain one state. In this state, I want to maintain one array. And in that array, I want to maintain nearly 5 usernames. Okay, I want to maintain nearly 5 usernames. This is my requirement. And all these usernames I want to show in my component in the list format. In the list format. Whatever users information I am storing in this state, that data I want to show inside my component here in the list format. That is my requirement. Okay. So first, let's create one user names component. User's name component. So I will go to my application here. Let me close all this now. Inside this components, I will create one subfolder called user names. And inside this user names folder, I will create one file called user names.jsx. Now here I am creating one component. This is my functional component. Okay. Now inside this component, I will add one h2. I will say that user names. After that, I will take here one ul. Inside that, right now I am hard coding. I will create here li. I will say Raj. One more li. I will say Rohan. One more li. I will say here Riya. One more li. I will say here Sneha. Okay, now this component I want to show on my screen. So right now we have implemented that routing part, right? So here we want one link. So what I will do, I will go to that nav.jsx file. I will remove this image component from here. I will just comment this part. And here I will add one link. And here I will say user names. Here I will add two props. I will add a path like user names. Now here we should get usernames. The moment I click on this, here we got /usernames. And right now we have not configured any kind of route. That is the reason we are getting page not found. So now we have to go to our app.jsx file. Here we have to add one route. So I will add one route. To this route, I will add two props. One is path, one more is element. So for path, I will say whenever in my browser URL path, if it is username, in that case, we have to render username component. So here we are not getting suggestion. So let's import that. Import username from components. Usernames. Okay, usernames. Save it. Now we got here usernames. Okay. So let me just add some basic CSS here. I'll just add a padding 50 pixels. Okay, we got here usernames and here we are displaying some users' names. Right now, all this data we have hard coded. So here in our user interface, we have hard coded that data. So instead of hard coding like this, what I want to do is I want to maintain one state. For that, I will take one use state hook. Using this use state hook, I will create one state. And in this, I want to maintain one array. In that array, I want to maintain some data. So here I will say something like Rohan. Here Ash. Something like Vash. Here something like Adi. Now this names I want to display in my LIs. Now tell me, in this entire part, which part is repeating? In this entire part, which part we are repeating multiple times? Based on this data, which
LI.
part we are going to we are repeating?
LI.
LI part. See, this LI we are going to repeat based on how much data we have in this state. Suppose if I have only 4 elements, I have to take only 4 LIs. If I have 10 elements, then I have to take 10 LIs. So how much data I will have in my state, that many LIs I have to take. It means this part we are going to repeat multiple times. So on this part, we have to apply now map. How to apply? This is your UL. Inside this UL, you can take your curly brace. Now this name, this state contains one array. So on this names, we can call map. We can call map. Now map will take one callback function. It will have one return statement. Now what you want to repeat, which UI you want to repeat, that part you add here. I want to repeat LI. So directly I will add LI. Or I can add.
Your voice is breaking, sir.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Yeah, is my voice audible, guys?
Yes.
So in this LI, I will just bind this name. Now I will save it.
Hello.
Yeah, there is. I think there is some network issue at my end. So how many names we are getting here depends upon how much data we have in our state. Suppose if I remove all this, if I just keep only one element in my array, then I will have only one LI here. If I add more, you will have that more here. So here, the point what we have to understand is how to use this map. when to use this map. First, when to use this map means whenever you find that certain UI you are repeating multiple times, instead of writing same code multiple times, we can store the data inside our state, and based on that state, we can iterate it. We can simply iterate. So when to go for map means whenever you find that certain UI need to be created based on data. So whenever certain UI need to be created based on the data, then go for map. Then go for map function. Now here, I want to create LIs. How many LIs you want to create? That depends upon my data. That's why I am using map here. In the same way, in previous examples also, we wanted to create cards. How many cards we want to create? That too depends upon the data that we are getting from server. So how much data we will get from server, that many cards we want. That is the reason that card code we have added inside the map. So whenever you get a requirement where you have to create certain UI based on your data, in that case, you can go for map. You can go for map. Understood? How to use map and when to use map? Yeah, anyone, any doubts or any confusion? If I use here instead of array, if I am storing all this inside one object, will it works? Suppose here, instead of storing all these names inside one array, if I store inside one object like this, name 1 like Raj, name 2 like Rohan, then map will work in this case. If map works, what changes I need to do here?
Name dot name one.
Now, will it works? Okay, let me add here name 1. Will it works? You go back to your browser. Not working. First of all, the first question is, can you use map function on a object? Right now, inside these names, we are storing one object. So the question is, can we use this map function on a object? Answer is no. Map function you can use only on the array. Only on the array. We cannot use on the object. So it's mandatory that your state should have an array. If your state is having array, then only it's possible to use map function. So all these are your JavaScript. This map function is not React concept. It is a JavaScript concept. So map function you can use only on array. So in your JSX, if you are using map on any state, then it is mandatory that that state should contain array as a data. That state should have an array as a data. Apart from array, if you have any other type of data in that state, then you cannot use map. Then you cannot use map. Okay. So this is about today's session. In tomorrow's session, let's explore some more topics. Yeah. If you have any doubts, let me know. In case if you don't have any doubts, yeah, you guys can drop.
Hi, Kabe. Uh, for example, if you are going to using to the table format, do you have any external libraries like as Angular, NGX data table related things?
Yeah, we have so many. React table, there is a library. There are so many libraries. So one of the libraries React table.
Okay, okay.